when I go and show up into the listing appointment, when I go door knock, like the energy that I'm putting into it and how I talk to people, they definitely pick up, right? You have a energy field around you that if you work on, making it bigger, when you go and talk to people can feel that. Door knocking doesn't mean that you're going to knock on the door and you're going to make a deal, right? But out of 250 doors, you'll talk to 10, 15 people that won't want to talk to you, and those 10 to 15 people will eventually turn into maybe 1 or 2 deals. For me, at a very early stage, what I did is I decided to make a list of people that I'm not going to talk to them anymore. So the moment that you do that energetically, you open a space for new people that you're going to attract in your life, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Glennda's Guru. I am so excited to introduce Santiago Arana. And Santiago, I don't even know that you need an introduction, but Santiago is from the LA market with the agency. And I've had the opportunity to kind of see him up close and personal speak. And I have got to tell you, we have got some amazing tips, tricks, practical and tactical experience that you are going to love in this episode. Santiago, welcome to Glennda's Guru. I am happy to have you here.
Hi, Glennda. How are you? Thank you for having me over. I'm excited. I love having the opportunity to have a conversation and share anything that can be helpful for whoever is going to be eventually watching this or are watching this.
I love it. I love it. I have to ask, where is your accent from?
My accent I'm originally from Bolivia.
Oh, my stars and stripes. Bolivia, but you're like super tall. Aren't you tall?
Yeah, I'm tall, 6'3".
Yeah, I was thinking, but the majority of people from Bolivia are not tall. Am I not thinking correctly, or?
Yeah, native indigenous from Bolivia are not tall people. I'm just, my parents are European, so my mom's family are from Croatia. She's a second generation Croatian born in Bolivia. My dad's family from Spain, so that could have something to do with it.
That's exactly what it is. Well, now I'm glad that we've gotten to the bottom of that mystery. How long have you been were you born in the U.S.?
No. I was born in Bolivia. I actually lived in Bolivia until I was 23 when I moved here to learn English in 2003.
How long have you been in real estate?
About 21, 22 years.
Oh, so you came here and got into real estate immediately?
Yeah, within a year and a half, I moved here. I learned English, which was the intention to learn English to do a master degree in finance. That was only taught in English. I had a scholarship that I won, and I didn't speak a word of English. So I decided to move here to be immersed in English and learn it because I only had a year to do it. And in the process of, bussing tables and learning English, I started falling in love with not only who eventually became my wife, but also with the United States and the opportunities and everything that was happening back in 2003, which is a little bit different of what America is going through right now. But that was the original plan, was to come to learn English in 2003, and just about 2004, towards the end of 2004, I got my license and I got in real estate when I made the decision to stay here.
Oh, wow. So were you an immediate success?
No, of course not. It depends what you define success, and what success for different people have different meanings. But if we're talking about real estate specifically, no, of course not. I moved to Los Angeles and the only person I knew was my wife. And at that point, I really quick came to the realization that I needed to start from scratch. And, that's why I became a door knocker. That's why I wanted to be in front of people, because I didn't know anyone else. I didn't have the high school friends, the college roommates, the relatives or friends, right? So I had to build everything from scratch, which imply a lot of hard work on door knocking, different tools that as a real estate agent have, right? Cold calling wasn't a good for me because obviously if my accent is noticeable right now, in the beginning was really, really, really thick and my English was very poor. So cold calling was never a good thing for me, but being in front of people, whether in the form of door knocking or sitting somebody else's open houses, is what it helped me, a lot more. And I connected with people in a personal level, and that really worked out better for me.
So think about it. I have a lot of agents who come up to me and talk to me and say, I don't want to do video because I have an accent. I don't want to do video because English is not my first language. And mentally they really have this roadblock because of an accent or because English is not their first language, and they're so self-conscious about it. But it sounds like to me that you didn't even think about letting that be a roadblock for you.
Yeah, I thought about it in the beginning. There is intimidation, there is a little bit of, you know, concern about that. But I figure fairly quickly, talking to people, that a lot of the people that we're talking to, and some of them were developers from different parts of the world, or, a lot of people seem to have an accent, and a lot of people it was noticeable that not everybody was speaking perfect English, and they seemed to continue with their lives and get across, whatever they needed to do. So I felt that for me, it was more important that I understood the market, that I knew what I was doing, that I had the knowledge on the neighborhood that I was working, that for me, it was more important to, know about my craft, and a little bit less worry about the perfect English. And as long as I get across the message or what I was trying to say, people didn't seem to care as much.
I love it. Do you think that they didn't care because when I've heard you speak, and obviously I kind of have like a cheat sheet. When I've heard you speak, you're so passionate about real estate and about your real estate business. And do you think that maybe that comes across in the energy, the vibe that you give? Was it like that in the beginning, or was it just really that desire to succeed?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, if you have me, if you heard me speak before, I speak about real estate, and every time I speak about real estate, it's not purely just about real estate. I always have a little bit of a conversation about energy and about other things that I believe in. And now more than ever, energy is becoming a much, much more popular term, and a more used by everybody. And you probably heard the term, like, energy is the new currency, right? So I believe that, if you have the energy, you have the passion, and you have that that communicated to the other side, they become a lot more receptive, right? So when we talk about what are the things that you do every day, or how many calls, or this and that, or I've been in many multiple panels in real estate, for the last 15 years, whether it's an Inman or any events that I get invited to speak in an event, or being on a panel with other successful real estate agents. It always comes down to where, when they ask me what is it that I do, and everybody's talking about how many phone calls they make, on how many letters they send, or with the ways how they touch people. For me, the most important thing is to take care of myself, right? For me to start the day with the things that I need to do for Santiago to be out there in the world, and be able to be 100% of me. Or like, if you don't take care of yourself, I believe that you cannot be out there and represent the best self of yourself. So when you talk about energy and passion, I feel like if someone goes door knocking, and that person just woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever time, and roll into looking at their Instagram, and eventually they go and look at their emails, and there's an undesirable email, or property fell out of escrow, so forth. That feeling is going to carry for the full day, right? That sets a tone for your day, in my opinion. So then when you go on door knock, or you go and meet, or you have that listing appointment, and you walk in that door, the energy that you're going to exude, or the people are going to pick up, is completely different than when I wake up in the morning, right? And I wake up very early, because that's the time that I have for myself without interruptions. I don't turn on my cell phone until I finish doing all the things that are important for me. So when I go and show up into the listing appointment, when I go door knock, like, the energy that I'm putting into it, and how I talk to people, they definitely pick up, right? You have a energy field around you that, if you work on, making it bigger, when you go and talk to people, people can feel that. So that's what I believe in.
I love that. And I think that you're exactly right. Energy is definitely a catchphrase today. But one thing about energy is you cannot fake it. You can script all you want, you can read all of the books, you can smile, you can make eye contact, but energy is like this transference. It's like this current to me. And it's like when you plug something in, like you immediately get that energy. And you have that X factor is what I like to call it, because it's not something that you can train. It's not something that you can create if it's not there. And you're exactly right. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you're not giving your best self. And that energy is the first place that you feel it. You don't have it to give to somebody else. I love that. So do you still door knock? I mean, my goodness gracious, like you sell big houses and you work with celebrities. Like surely you don't need to like do that stuff anymore, right?
Well, I mean, needing or wanting, or there's a lot of different things, right? But the reality is that yes, if there is a specific client that is looking for a specific property, and that property happens not to be available on the market, and there are properties like that in certain neighborhood. I mean, that's the perfect opportunity for door knocking. So out of the sudden, you actually knocking on a door, bringing value to that individual, where you actually have a client, a real client, looking for a property in that neighborhood that looks like those houses, right? So if that comes, I definitely go on door knock.
I love it. And you know what? That sweat equity, like that type of work, nobody wants to do that. That's not like the glamorous work. But you're exactly right. I had the opportunity to talk with Danny Hertzberg, who is in Miami with the Jills. And what he was telling me was something very similar, was that when they have a buyer looking for a specific product, they know where those are. And door knocking, connecting with those sellers, those owners, those people that don't know they want to sell their house at that very second is really kind of the secret sauce. I think that it's kind of a superpower because not everybody has the chutzpah to do that.
That's correct. Yeah, no, it takes training, right? Takes, and there are people, they have personalities that they're more introvert, and it becomes a little harder for them to go and because door knocking doesn't mean that you're gonna knock on the door and you're gonna make a deal, right? I mean, I
Right.
remember my hardcore door knocking days. I was knocking probably 250 doors a week. Out of those 250 doors, most of them were rejection, or you got the door that slam in your face because, reality is people don't like to, you know, someone approaching your door and trying to sell something. It's another person, right? That's when you need to bring value. But out of 250 doors, you'll talk to 10, 15 people that won't want to talk to you. And those 10 to 15 people will eventually turn into maybe one or two deals, as long as you continue to cultivate and go back and create that. And after time, those things start to flourish, right? It's planting seeds. But you have to have, the ability to, get somebody to yell at you and shut the door in your face, or whatever it is. You need to have the ability to shake it off fairly quick and go to the next one.
Well, that every door that gets slammed in your face, every no that you get is just one door closer to the yes.
That's right.
I love that. And do you think that people work with you because they see in you this hustler, like this guy who's willing to work harder than somebody else?
I think communication is a very important, element in our business. I think that, when you have that opportunity of a few minutes to talk to a person and you can get the message across, and you have the ability to be clear on your message and know what you want or what is it that you're there for. I think people see that, they like to have clear communication. And when they hear you, what you're looking for, that is not, wanting to get a listing, or if eventually that happens, which it does, that will come by default. But if you're there
Yeah.
truly because you have somebody or you are bringing some sort of value, people are going to be able to connect with you. And yes, you know, not everybody's the same too. Some people might not like my energy, or some people might not connect with the
Yeah.
way how I speak, and that's okay, right? And that's why there is different, things for different people, different taste.
Yeah.
And that happens also when I go to listing appointments. I have the ability at this stage in my career that I don't need to take every listing that I go to appointment. There are listing appointments that I go and I stop it and I say, I don't think I'm the right person for this, and that's just because I don't feel compatibility with those sellers, or I feel that they're not realistic, or I feel like they're going to be already something that we're not going to get along. I rather cut it in the beginning, not just to have a listing to have it, because that now takes a lot of my time, puts me in a state that I'm not. I prefer to save that time and take the listings with the people that first I get along with, that I find a chemistry and connection, and listings that I actually am interested in selling. So
isn't it great to be in a position in your career that you don't have to deal with people that you don't like?
yeah, absolutely. But at a very early stage, I adopted that. And actually, I gotta say, the earlier that you start doing that, the better you do. Because you think that in the beginning, you need to be working with people that they're not loyal, or working with people that are disrespectful, or working with people that are just trying to come after your company, whatever it is. And if you do that, you just kind of like working and carrying that bad feeling every time that person calls and your phone puts you in this state of mind and your state of in your mood. So for me, at a very early stage, what I did is I decided to make a list of people that I'm not going to talk to them anymore. And the moment I made that decision and I put a list, I remember in the wall of my office, somebody walked, I can't remember who it was, and asked me, what are those names that cross? And I said, those are the people that I'm not interested in working with anymore. So the moment that you do that energetically, you open a space for new people that you're going to attract in your life, right? So I think, yes, there is one side that sometimes in the beginning you got to do things or work with people that you don't like so much. But if you get to a point in your career where you're actually doing okay, you don't need to be in the top to say, I'm not going to work with these people. I think the early you are able to choose who you want to work with is going to allow you to be in a better state and deliver better for the people that actually you want to work with. It opens up time, opens up space, and allows you to take care of the people that you want to work with.
And it puts you in control of your business
Correct.
rather than the tail wagging the dog. You really are in control of your business. I love that. And so let's kind of pivot and talk a little bit about the agency, because you started with the agency in 2014, correct?
13.
13.
Yeah.
And I've had the opportunity to meet Mauricio, and went to the opening of the Hamptons. Tyler we do a podcast together, Glitter and Gay. And so I love, love, love the vibe of that brokerage and what you're kind of talking about with energy and culture, and really kind of picking who you work with. That's really a foundational business model of your brokerage, correct?
Yeah, that's true. We have the rule that, rule number one, no assholes, right?
Yeah.
And it comes down to basically surrounding yourself with people that you want to be surrounded with. And, everybody's together racing to the top, but you can't do that when you have somebody that is causing issues or they don't operate the same way, right? We have a pretty, uh, you know, we have an incredible culture and we collaborate a lot. So instead of closing doors and worrying that somebody's going to steal our clients or this or that, we actually believe that by opening the doors, we don't have really walls. It's all glass and open. We create this environment where you can actually approach and talk and hear what's going on in the office, which allow us to do more business within the same office, right, or the same company. We have a very high rate of deals that get done within the same company before even they hit the market, because of that collaboration, because of that communication. So, as owners of the company, Mauricio, Billy, and the partners, we always look into creating that culture where people feel comfortable, feel that they can trust who they're working around it. And just that's one of the things that are the most important, besides that we have built a very, very strong brand that is worldwide recognized now.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love seeing great business people. I love I'm so attracted to business models and how people um use culture and energy and expertise, and they shake it up in this bag and they put out a product that is so different and so tangible. And I think with real estate brokerages, that's one thing that's kind of gone by the wayside, is the tangible feel of a brokerage. So I love that. They always say that competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top. I think that's definitely the case for you and for the agency. I have to ask, what was the transaction in your career that happened? Like, where was that turning point? Where was that transaction, that sale, that client where you said, wait a minute, like the trajectory of your career changed at that moment?
I don't know if there is a transaction that changed the trajectory of my career. I think that more than a transaction was a time in a period of time in my career that when that happened. And that happened really in 2009, 2010, right after the market crashed and the financial meltdown. And when I say it was that moment, it wasn't really a transaction, but it was a moment where I worked in restaurants for about 4.5 years before I started doing well. So from 2004, when I got my license, I worked until around the end of 2007 or mid 2008. When I made a decision to drop the restaurant, I was doing restaurant to have money to survive and live while I was trying to make real estate happen. And I didn't really sell enough for the first 3.5, 4 years to be able to drop the restaurant. But when they got to that point, which was again beginning of 2008, I think, and I decided to stop working in restaurants and just go full into real estate. At the end of 2008, the market crashed, and then 2009 was, a very difficult year where I started eating out of my savings. And there was a point in my career where I know at this point, I had a little baby and money was starting to go down into the bank account and nothing really was selling. It was a difficult market. I mean, so I thought maybe I need to go back and work part-time in the restaurant again to generate some cash to pay my bills. And I remember going to drop applications at a restaurant, and as I was going to go and walk in the first restaurant, something inside me said, "What are you doing? Like, you can't go backwards, right?" I mean, and nothing wrong with going back into the restaurant business, but I was like, I guess, in a point where I needed to push through, and a lot of times that's a test, right? This is getting into a moment where you need to make a decision, and it's almost like, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, it's almost like tests, how far are you willing to go? And I remember that day, getting back in my car, not dropping the applications, and I went door knocking for about 2 or 3 hours into my favorite neighborhood in Brentwood Park. Now, can you measure and say that out of that moment I got a listing in Brentwood Park? I don't know if I will be able to answer that, but what I can tell you is, in the moment that I inside me, I felt that power that we all have. I felt like I got introduced to the real Santiago, or what was Santiago really capable of doing at that moment. And that was a very empowering moment. That was a very defining moment in my career, that more than a transaction was in the moment that I made the decision inside me that I was just going to make it happen. And when you make that real decision that you're going to make it happen and you actually go and work, something will happen. Energetically, things are going to turn for your favor. And from that point, my career started taking off, and I started getting a lot of phone calls, and I started getting listings, and when the market came back at the end of 2011, 2012, and things started to happen again, it just exploded.
It was almost like a breakdown to break through. Like you really, you were in that moment of decision when your destiny was shaped. I always say it is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. And when you decided not to put in that application, but to double down when everybody in real estate was having a nervous breakdown. 2008, 2009, 2010, you were like, wait a minute, let me not walk away. Let me just double down and stay in it. And that is so, it inspires me. Gives me goosebumps because I love that. I love that you can go back and you can think about that time. And it was almost like you took us back in that moment when you were sitting in your car. I love that. So you double down, you're doing great. You've made the decision, you're staying in it. And then like when do you sell some big ass house that you're like, holy cow? Like when was that moment? Like you were like, wow, I get to sell these big houses or those fancy
Yeah, yeah,
houses.
yeah. So out of door knocking, I remember I met this guy that was building a house in Pacific Palace. It's a beautiful house. And this was in 2012, actually. So door knocking and working through it while things were not great. I met this guy that was building this beautiful house in Pacific Palaces, and I started visiting him and talking to him. And, he called me to ask me what was my opinion on the pool and this and that. So, I started to build a relationship with him. And then, he trusted me with what was my biggest listing at the time that I took. And it was 16 million. Uh, it was a beautiful house, 16 million back in 2012 will be the equivalent to right now a house for 40, let's say. It was it was the biggest price house in Pacific Palisades at the moment. And I remember that if you're looking for a transaction, that will be the transaction, right? I listed the property and I ended up bringing a buyer, and I ended up double ending that deal. And that was a big deal.
Wow. But you know what? I bet that why do you think that seller, why do you think that builder, why do you think he worked with you?
I know exactly why. He told me. He said, your tenacity, your, always checking on me and always asking where I am at. And you were like on top of it, right? And I can see that hassle is what I wanted. I wanted someone that's going to, the same way that you hassle me to get the listing, I know you're going to hassle to find the buyer.
And you
So
did.
that,
You double ended it,
yeah,
my stars and stripes. That's
yeah, that
so
was a good
cool.
deal.
And think about like 2012, $16 million. Like,
Yeah, so big said it was the highest sale dollar per square in Palaces, and it was the highest sale for volume that year.
I love that. That's so crazy. Um, the highest sale in Atlanta, like ever, is like $22 million. Like Tyler Perry's 32,000 square foot house in Atlanta on like
Yeah, I know the
7
house.
acres sold for $15 million.
Uh,
You want to talk about, and that was like the other day, like literally you talk it when I talk to my friends in LA, it totally cracks me up. Like the the difference in just in the pricing, like how do you just wrap your head around that? Like do you farm a neighborhood? Like do you have a farm where you send out stuff or you sell all of the houses?
yeah, I do. I do is mainly the area where I'm always around, right? The west side. But yeah, the prices are different here. A developer just finished a house in Bel Air and he wanted me to see it. So I've done business with him in the past, and he just finished this incredible house that I went to look at this morning before getting into this call. And it's a $170 million house, and it's one of the most beautiful things that I ever seen. And it's just, it's not about the square footage. It's not about the nothing. It's just about, this guy has the ability to deliver a product that I don't think anyone else can build. So when someone is going to want to buy that house, it's not because they need a house. The buyer for that property is a multi-billionaire that doesn't really need a house. It's just, oh, this is a product that doesn't exist, so I got to have it.
I almost feel like when you get into that price range, it's almost like a piece of artwork. Like
Right.
it's the collect, because you're exactly right. If you're buying $170 million, $200 million piece of residential real estate,
Hmm.
it's not, you're not going and getting a mortgage. You're not worried about the appraisal. Like that's not where you are. This is like legendary generational wealth. And it's almost like a jewel in your crown.
Yeah, no, this is for me is living in a in a house like that enhances your life, right? Because
Yeah.
we're here for a period of time. You're passing by into this moment of this lifetime. And if you have the money and you have the ability, the question is, do you know how to live well? Because a lot of people, they have this kind of money, they don't. And you will be shocked going in houses that, the way how they're living is like less than what an average person, like they just don't know how to live well. But there are other ones that know how to live really well. So the question here, when you find a property like this, is that this is going to enhance my life on a daily basis for X amounts of year. How much is that worth?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me. I look at some of the houses and I just think like the taxes and the cost to maintain them is just, it's so expensive.
But that's why it's like when people ask, right? Like you buy this amazing Mercedes with a big engine, and how much is the gas a week, right? So like if you're concerned about the gas, then you can afford the car. Same with these houses. It's like, this is a billionaire that, yes, everybody think about these things, the taxes and everything. But I think that if you want to buy a $170 million house, you probably have north of $5 billion, right?
Probably. It's kind of funny because I have a Porsche and I also have a Ford moving van. From that my clients borrow. This is probably something so foreign to you. You're like, she has a moving van? That's crazy. Anyway, so I have like a Ford moving van that, people will use to from time to time. And I was telling somebody, I was telling the guy, I just had it serviced, and I was telling the guy at the dealership, I said, do you know this is probably the best return on investment that I've ever had is this Ford moving van, because I paid $26,000 for it. It cost me $5,000 to wrap it. I bet I hadn't spent $3,000 in maintenance on the thing. Where my Porsche, my God, I take it to the dealership and $3,000 just walks me in the door. It's just crazy. So I think that
Yeah.
you're probably right, Santiago. So, okay, so I've got a couple other questions for you, and I promise I'm going to let you go. So let me ask you a question. What do you have a favorite transaction that you've ever done? A favorite client that you've ever worked with?
No, I'm actually blessed that I met a lot of great people through this business. I met a lot of, which now they're my closest friends through this business, clients that turn into friends. So I don't have one or a specific client itself, but transactions, there's a few very, very good transactions that, obviously are close to my heart. One of them would be a development that I did actually, because I do own a development company with one of my clients, and now it's a good friend of mine, that we build houses together. We do spec homes, and there was one specific house that I built in Brentwood that I sold to LeBron James, and that was a very, very cool deal also, because I ended up representing him and myself on the other side, and the way how the transaction happened and how everything went was a very special transaction for me.
That's wonderful. I'm a little bit chapped that Trey Young bought a house in LA. I always say that nothing says you don't want to be a franchise player in Atlanta like buying a $20 million house in LA. So I was a little bit upset about that. I love NBA like you can't believe, and I think that that's amazing that you got to represent LeBron James, especially on something that you
My
were
own
the
house.
seller on. Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool. It must be such a surreal feeling to have come here as an adult, not have spoken English, started in a business, and to reach the level of success. Do you ever just like pinch yourself and just say like, is this really like, is this like do you like in the morning before you open your eyes, do you just think like, am I gonna open my eyes and it's gonna be a dream?
No, I remind myself, and I'm grateful every day. For me, gratitude is a daily practice. So I'm well aware of the blessings in my life, and I am always thanking God for it. So yeah, no, it's a real thing for me, and what makes it more special for me, that specific transaction, was that, when you transact in real estate, it's all transactional and it's a business. But having the ability to, use your creative side when you find a property that you tear down and you build the house from scratch and you put stuff into the house that you feel, because of your experience or because I'm dealing with the buyers of this caliber, what they're looking for, what are important for them, and you're able to put that in the property, and then you have an athlete like LeBron James that came and loved the gym I did and the wellness area and all that kind of stuff and connect with it, you know that you're doing something right. So that's what made it special. As far as the pinching myself every day, I believe that you create your own destiny. I believe that you have the ability to create your life, and you work hard on it, and you believe and you have faith that that's actually going to happen. It happens, and it's a real thing. And when it happens, in the moment that happens, you need to have the consciousness to be aware that you created that, but also that there is a bigger power out there that they made it happen for you. So the combination of both, you need to be grateful for it. You need to be grateful every day. Every day I wake up, and as I'm in the cold plunge, I'm saying thank you for all the blessings that I have, from my health, from my family's health, from me being awake, for me being freezing in the cold plunge. I'm feeling actually that cold in my skin. I find that to be a blessing.
That's wonderful. So Santiago, what's next for you? Like what are you excited about? What are you doing now that what is the next big thing for you?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of big things. Obviously, as an owner on a company like the agency, is to grow the company and continue to grow it and continue to bring that brand to different places in the world, right? We just opened in Barcelona. We're opening in different places in Europe. So that's definitely one of the goals. Individually, me as a salesperson in Los Angeles, is continue to deliver the service to my clients, my local clients here in Los Angeles, and continue to find the properties for developers that I work with. Continue to grow here as an agent, right? At the same time, I have a big family. I have kids. For me, my family is one of the most important things. My son, we're gonna go at the end of the morning to tour some universities. So my older son is already going to college next year. Put him in a good place and getting my family situated is obviously a big important goal for me. I have other goals, right? I have fitness goals and health goals that I pursue myself personally. So it's just a combination of different things. But into the real estate is just continue to grow as an agent, continue to stay in the top 10 real estate agents in the country, just some competitive goals to help you, keep track of your, success.
I love it. I love it. An agent called me this morning and she was talking to me. She's considering a brokerage change. And, you know, a lot of agents call me from all over the country and talk to me about different things. And she said, Glennda, I really am looking for like this boutique brokerage with an edge. And I said, really? I said, you know what? I said, let me give you the name of somebody that I think might be a good fit for you. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love for you to talk to my friend at the agency. And whenever I think about, and I say boutique in the manner in which the agency to me is like a jewel box of a brokerage, not boutique because it's small, but because it's like this treasure chest of a brokerage. And I love watching you guys. I love seeing what you're doing. I love it from the outside. I love it
Thank
looking
you.
in, and from the inside, I love being able to see all my friends succeed. And Santiago, I have to tell you, like I said before, I had a little preview of how amazing this interview would go, and I want my viewers to know. I always ask before we get started, before I press record, I always ask my guest, where can I take this interview that will be the most beneficial for you? And I asked Santiago that question, and he said to me, I'm not here to be beneficial for me. I'm here to be beneficial for the people watching this podcast. And it is that type of energy, that type of integrity, that type of inspiration that makes me want to reach through this screen and hug your neck. And I just say thank you so much, not
No,
only
thank you.
for sharing your genius, but for sharing your heart and your integrity. It is tangible, it is palpable, and I'm so honored that you spent your time with me. So thank you very much, Santiago. Where can my audience find you?
Well, thank you, first of all, for the kind words and for having me here. And I appreciate everything that you just said, humbly. Where they can find me, I mean, it's pretty easy. I'm in a TV show now called Buying Beverly Hills on Netflix. If you want to watch something entertaining, you can see me there. And I'm in all the social media channels, the main ones, Instagram under my name, Santiago Arana. It's easy to find. I do have some videos uploaded in YouTube that I do it mainly because a lot of people want to meet and ask me questions and sit down for a coffee for advice, and I just don't have the time to meet with everybody, you know. So a lot of the conversations that I have, or when I go to talk in events, I've been recording it and uploaded it into a YouTube channel, which has my name too, Santiago Arana, and then I found that a lot of people go in there and see some of those interviews, and they can find some golden nuggets.
I love it. Santiago, well, I'm just going to tell you right now, the next time that I'm in LA, I'm going to hunt you down like a hound dog and hug your neck and say thank you so much.
Let's do it.
I really, really appreciate your time, your talent, and I appreciate you sharing that with me and with my audience. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. As I always say, my name is Glennda Baker. I am a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. So send me a text, tag me in a post, give me a call. That's what I love the most, because I'd love the opportunity to talk real estate with you today. See ya.